Hello and welcome to the Doug Geiser Show, Year 2, brought to you by the Ashland University Journalism and Digital Media Department. I'm Cade Krakus, and I'm joined by Doug Geiser, the head coach of the Ashland University football team. Coach, thanks for sitting down with me here today.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back in the studio one last time in the 2025 year. But you take a look at this year as a whole. It's really flown by. The 2024-25 academic school year has just completely gone by. When you look at it as a whole, what's kind of your initial thoughts?
Well, we accomplished one of our goals through the year, which we always have a goal of winning the conference. We had a chance to do that. Another goal is going to the playoffs. Didn't get as far as we wanted to go, but it's a start at this point. So kudos to that 2024 team. And you open the book on the 2025 team starting in January, and they've had a great winter training cycle, very fruitful spring practice schedule, and so I'm very, very excited to get them into the summer and training camp when we get back in August.
Yeah, last time we talked, we were previewing spring ball, but spring ball's come and gone now. So what's kind of your recap of spring ball?
Spring ball, I think we got a lot of things done. I mean, for us, as we talked about before, spring ball is a teaching opportunity. And coaches have researched, do we tweak the system a little bit, add some things, throw some things out, see what this year's team can do. You can never assume, even with a lot of guys back, that you're going to be able to do the same things well. So, you continue to reteach that stuff, reinstall it. It's neat to see the players with their new bodies, quote unquote, after going through a winter training cycle. And so that part was fun, and you cap it off with a spring game, which is very, very competitive, and it was a lot of fun for those 5 weeks.
Yeah, and you mentioned returners. There's several key contributors that are coming back next year for you. When you take a look at the veteran leadership, what are you expecting from the team next year?
Well, the leadership is the first place we always look. We have 15 accountability teams. Each one is elects a captain. That's basically my players' council and my sounding board for the team. We graduated 10 of those guys last year from last year's team. So 5 are back, and they'll do a tremendous job for us, but we're teaching the other 10 on how to lead the team. You can never assume they know how to do it. You got to teach them what you want, and they're progressing very well at this point.
And obviously, too, a big question going into next year is that freshman class for you. Have you been able to look at those guys this spring? Have you been able to talk to them? Have they come to any of these spring practices? What's the look there?
Yeah, there's been a number of them come to spring practice or our scrimmages. We had a signees reception, actually, the morning of the spring game. And I think we had about 50 to 55 of those guys are back at this point. And our signing class is now up to like 76. So it's grown a little bit since we talked about that in the winter.
Yeah.
Other than just having contact with them and making sure that they're progressing with admission and FAFSA and filling out their housing application and meal plan, sign up for an orientation, there's not much else we're doing for them or work with them at this point. Now in the summer, some will come up and train with our guys, once we start our summer program. But other than just, continue to build a relationship, not much with those guys since then.
Yeah, and you talk about the gold versus purple spring game as well, something we haven't really talked about too heavily just yet. What were some of your big takeaways on both sides of the ball through that game?
First of all, and just as an explanation to our audience, I split up the captains, and they actually drafted their teams. And then they drafted their coaches, they drafted their support staff, and they basically operate as 2 separate entities for the game. And we did as close to a game situation as possible. I thought, first and foremost, first takeaway, the captains did a great job of picking teams that were pretty evenly matched. Yep. And so it was fun in that respect. Very, very heated, a little bit of trash talk, even amongst the coaches. The gold team did come out ahead, however, and the biggest prize with that is what they were fighting for, getting out of conditioning one day during training camp in August. So that was the biggest prize they were fighting for. They're going to get a shirt, obviously, but that seemed to be, and that really egged them on. That really egged them on, and we got a great effort for the spring game.
Weren't other people involved as well? Wasn't President Petey there as an honorary coach or something like that?
Yeah, what we do, we try to make it a great day of celebration of Ashland football. So President Petey was the head coach, honorary head coach of the purple team, and then our honorary head coach of the gold team was Don Graham, who is a AU Hall of Famer, the radio voice of the Eagles, and then also he is the president of our gridiron club. So you incorporate those people as well, and various points. We've tried to have the band and the cheer and stunt team there as well. If they're not doing other things, I know cheer and stunt were competing at that time, so weren't able to. But you try to incorporate it and just make it a great celebration. Bring the signees back, just create a lot of good feelings around the program to celebrate it that day in the spring.
For sure. Were there any returners or newcomers that surprised you specifically in that game?
I would say guys that built on a great spring. We added a tailback by the name of Will Hartson, and he joined us in the winter here from the portal, and did a tremendous job, be a great addition to a group that includes Ty Stevenson and Lando Kamara, who were our two top tailbacks from last year. So it's just really increased the competition in that room, which Ashland wins when that happens. You look otherwise. I thought the offensive line built on a lot of their continuity. We got our top 9 guys back from last season, and that experience I thought showed a lot in the spring. As you guys probably know, Coach Rose can really dial it up on defense, and if you can draw it up, our defense can run it. And just having the experience of having seen it before allowed our guys to be able to compete with that in the spring. And that offensive line, I thought, did a nice job of starting to step up and being a strength for us in that respect. Another one offensively, it was nice to have Gent Joseph back. Gent was our best receiver going into last year. Unfortunately, got hurt in the second half of the IUP game, and was able to get a medical red shirt, and he'll come back, and he built on, his last year, and we're really, really excited to have him back in the fold. And then if you look defensively, our 2 linebackers, Ben Holzapfel and Jack Talkington, they're probably 2 of the best in the league, I think. And they started taking steps forward to be leaders on that defense too. Another guy I'd mentioned on defense is E.J. Tia. Really starting to be a quarterback for us in the secondary at their rover and free safety position. So, seeing those guys start to emerge and build on the successes they've had previous has been really good to see.
You're always a guy who likes to kind of raise the bar, raise the expectations for a team. Obviously, going from the 2024 fall season into the 2025 fall season, what's kind of the expectations and leadership that you've kind of put onto these guys to possess next year? The
biggest part is to make the team their own. We'll be ultimately a whole lot better if it's their team and not my team, quote unquote. Doesn't mean I'm going to abdicate any responsibilities or anything. I'm still there, helping to organize everything. But with that little perception of taking ownership in the team, and that makes all the difference in the world. That all of a sudden the players start holding themselves accountable instead of me holding them accountable. When you get to that part, that piece of ownership and any kind of endeavor with a group or a team, very, very great things happen. And so that's starting to happen at this point. And it just takes time to teach it. You can't teach it overnight. It's not a shake you can give. It's not a meal you can have them take or a pill or anything. You have to be through those situations to learn, this is where I need to step up. Really? Wow, this is my legacy now. It just, those realizations just take time to work through.
Yeah, and speaking of stepping up, obviously next year you have a big question mark on the quarterback position. Are you looking for those guys to step up, in particular, anyone there?
Yeah, at this point the competition has come down to Drew Novak and Cam Blair, and both have been in our program multiple years, and they both played the best football of their career, I thought, this spring. So we're not going to name a quarterback coming out of the spring. We'll let them duel it out all the way through the summer and through training camp, and then the best guy will play, and that'll be good for Ashland.
Yeah, and what growth have you seen from the returning starters heading into next year? Because obviously that's a big thing. You want to see them keep pushing that bar forward.
Yeah, if you look back, guys like a Nick Walker. Nick Walker is a 3-time All-Conference player for us at left tackle, and continuing to raise the bar. If he wanted to, he could rest on his laurels. He could probably be all league again and be a starter, but he's got higher standards than that. And so just bringing them to the realization, one seen it. Hey, don't be content with being the best at Ashland. Don't be content being one of the best in the conference. If you have the potential and the ability to be one of the best in the country, that's what you need to be striving for. A guy like Ethan Enders, who's been battling injury the last 2 years, and to see him finally get a healthy off season in a spring, and seeing him start to raise his level back to before he had surgery, is neat to see. You see a guy like a Jamari Kroom, same thing, who's been a contributor for us and really stepped up last year and continue that ascent forward. You see guys like a Mike Shimmick at defensive end, and just the way he goes about his craft and the standard he holds himself to. Makes my job easy as far as coaching. When you have guys that are motivated like that, and motivated not necessarily just for themselves, but also for the team, and realize their obligation to perform as a team.
And from a coaching standpoint, did this spring help you with any depth chart decisions in terms of maybe like, we can fit freshmen in this scenario, or we're looking for guys that might be looking for a new home this summer to fit in here? Is there anything like that occurred for you?
You're always looking at your depth to see, especially now with the the Division I's having to cut down to 105, and a lot of guys being inundating the portal. There's going to be some guys available there. What are our needs? And if you take somebody like Tim Rose, our defensive coordinator, every single meeting he has with his staff, the first thing they talk about is depth chart. Yeah. Personnel, and they evaluate that daily. And so, we've done that. We had evaluations with the players at the end of the spring too. And in reality, Cade, the spring practice period is where you actually gain your spot on the depth chart. Because when we come back in August, we only have 2 weeks of training camp. We're getting ready for IUP at that point. And so if you're a newcomer that's going to come in and want to get on the depth chart, you better show early, because we're getting ready for that first opponent. And there won't be a lot of opportunities, so if you squander one, you might have to wait till spring to get those opportunities to show again.
Yeah, and as the season kind of is just around the bend, like you said, you don't have much time. What identity are you hoping the team has going into next year?
I would say, if I was really a smart aleck, I could give you the traditional Ashland team, but
the Ashland man.
And the Ashland man. But what does that mean though? That means always going to have a physical component to what we do, and that's whether you're physical, whether you're blocking, tackling, finishing a run, catching the ball. We want teams to know they've been in a physical battle when they played us. We always strive to be the most physical team on the field on game day. That's number one. We also strive to be disciplined. Mentally and physically disciplined, emotionally disciplined, not playing out of control, not doing things to beat yourself. If you can handle those two things and be good at the fundamentals, no matter how highfalutin and advanced offenses get nowadays, it still comes down to blocking and tackling on offense and defense. Doesn't matter what coverage you're playing, doesn't matter what pass play you're running. That's always going to be a part of it, and that's always a part of what works here at Ashland. So we take pride in that, and it takes a bit to ingrain that. Some guys come in with don't have those skills, that mindset, but through their time here, we've been lucky enough that guys have bought in and seen success with it, and that's really been the secret sauce.
Well, Coach, it was great sitting down with you here in the opening segment.
It was fun.
It is now time for us to take a quick break and join you all back here shortly. Stay tuned to this commercial break. As a reminder, you're watching the Doug Geiser Show right here on AUTV. Welcome back to the Doug Geiser Show, right here on AUTV. Coach, it's time for the final segment of today's show. In March, the 2025 fall schedule was released. Let's take a look at what's to come up for the team in the near future. Obviously, 2025 is going to be a big year for you guys. Looking at week one, you guys will yet again take on IUP. This sort of matchup has become somewhat of a rivalry, if you will. What has this really shaped into for you guys?
For us, it's a great barometer for, as far as how far we've come and kind of what our ceiling might be. Paul Tortorella has done a great job at IUP, and even before that, they've had great tradition. One of the best teams in the PSAC. So it's a good measuring stick for us, where are we actually? You're not being delusional, you're not, looking pie in the sky. You actually have good measurements there against a team that's going to be there in the end. So it's a good test for us, and I know this will be the third of a four-year contract with them, so we'll have them again in 2026 for the final time. But it's a game our guys look forward to, and going over there this year will be quite a challenge.
Yeah, when we take a look at the rest of the schedule, any other games stand out to you? I know obviously it's kind of backloaded with home games. That's a big thing that people have been talking about as well.
Yeah, two things would come to mind. Number two, the week two this year is going to be Indianapolis, and UIndy, Chris Keevers, best team in the GLVC. So we're going to start the season once again like we've done the last couple of years. It's been Ferris, but now we're going to play the best team in GLVC and probably the best team in the PSAC in weeks 1 and 2. So we'll have a really good barometer of where we are, where we stack up nationally there. And the other thing, you're starting to mention on it, 6 of our first 8 games are on the road, and that's quite the challenge. It is quite an undertaking to win on the road in college football. So we got a huge challenge on our hands, and but I know our guys are looking forward to it. And
lastly, Coach, it's April right now. They got a couple months, Eagle Nation, that is, until we get to the football season. What's your pitch to keep them excited until 2025 rolls around?
Well, we're looking to build on what we've done past, and we're looking to build on the tradition of this school. And so, come on out, keep us in your thoughts. Throughout the summer, our guys will be feverishly working in the classroom first, finishing finals this next week. And then during the summer, training, lifting, and running, getting in great shape. And then August 10th, they'll be here before you know it. And then September 4th, that first game against IUP. So, keep us in your thoughts, and hopefully come out and support us when we face that first home game against Hillsdale in the middle of September.
Yeah, it'll be great. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time here today and your time all year long for year 2 of the Doug Geiser Show.
I appreciate you too. Thank you.
That is all that we have for year 2, the finale of the Doug Geiser Show. I'm Cade Crackus saying thank you so much for tuning into the Doug Geiser Show right here on AUTV.